you have a Democratic House, a Democratic senator, and a Democratic president, they should do that on day one. 4 more United States senators, 4 more Supreme Court members, and some stringent national legislation on how you can do Congress. They could easily pass a law saying you can only redistrict once every 10 years.
So James Carville just said the quiet part out loud, that if the Democrats ever get in power, how they're going to ensure that once and for all, they stay in power. Good afternoon, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all that you do to get the word out that we're here. We know that YouTube doesn't do it for us, and I want to thank you. Many of you have been commenting and messaging me privately. You don't understand why the subscriptions aren't growing. I don't either. Don't understand why this channel's not bigger. I don't either. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't need you to become a Patreon member. I'm not looking for your money. I'm just wanting a shot at your head. In other words, just listen to what I have to say and see if somehow, in some way, it doesn't affect the way you think or see something. That's it. So thank you for being here. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and smash the like button so that you can always be in on my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Well, let's take a little listen to what James Carville has to say.
People are right when they say this democracy is really imperfect. And they're going to have to do, if the Democrats win the presidency, the Senate and the House in 2028, which is not impossible. I don't know if you say likely or possible. I don't know what word you know, but it's certainly not impossible. They are just going to have to unilaterally add Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia states. They're going to have to, the Congress does give, the Constitution gives Congress power over federal elections. I don't think they can redistrict, but they're things they're going to do. They're going to have to do it. They're just going to have to do it. And they may have to expand the court to 13 members. Any of those things in isolation, I would be skeptical about. I would be cautious about. I would say, well, I don't know if that's the greatest idea in the world. You're opening Pandora's box, or all kinds of things. If you want to save democracy, I think you got to do all of those things.
Democrats continue to lose their minds over what's happening in Texas. And again, they're losing the argument on this nationally. And they're losing the argument on this because the American people know, well, this is exactly what Democrats do. That they redistrict, especially in their areas of strength. They make sure that in places like California, in New York, in Illinois, they take a chunk here that's solid blue, and somehow we extend that district over into some red areas that are smaller so that the Democrat stronghold swallows up the Republican areas, so that they make sure that within their state, they're basically sending nothing but Democrats to Congress. That's it. And some states like Massachusetts, mission accomplished. Not one Republican representative from the state of Massachusetts. Not one. And if the Democrats have their way, that will be the nation. And all Texas did was what Democrats do. Now, what they're screaming foul about, what Governor Newsom is whining about, and what James Carville is advocating, is this should only be done once every 10 years with regard to the census. Oh, well, this is a census year because it's a 5-year. It's 2025. So there's a census being put together and the criteria, which is why Donald Trump has said, and this time around, it will be an accurate census, and it will only contain citizens. See, again, The Democrats played with that. They wanted those open borders. That ensured that states like California remained big so that they got more districts, so that they got more reps, and then they knew that all these illegals coming in, that eventually their children would vote Democrat. That was the whole plan. And that went up in flames under Donald Trump, along with how to pay for all of this when USAID went away. See why they're writhing right now? And they're like demons still trying to claw and hang on to the little girl in The Exorcist. No, I won't let go of her. No, I won't let go of America. No, I won't let go of power. And so because of that, they've lost their minds that the Republicans are actually doing what they did when it comes to gerrymandering. So what does James Carville now propose? That when there is a Democrat majority in the House, in the Senate, and the White House, that what they need to do is make sure Puerto Rico becomes a state, make sure Washington, D.C. becomes a state, and add 4 more justices to the Supreme Court. That's it right there. He just said the quiet part out loud. That there need to be more justices, that there need to be more states, because the only way the Democrats can actually win is to have a system in which there's no competition. And you Democrats that are watching this, shaking your head, and even some of my own family members, and you know who you are, that are shaking your head saying, you are so off on this. Am I really? This is the party that is constantly crying about, Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. MAGA is an existential threat to democracy. When in reality, what you people are doing is giving a middle finger to democracy. What James Carville just said was basically, we've got to democracy to save democracy. Does that make any sense whatsoever? I've got to kill you because I love you. Wait, what? What? Stop and think about this. The Democratic Party. When was the last time the people within the party actually got the candidate that they wanted to run for president as a result of their primary? Did the people pick Hillary Rodham Clinton? Or did the party? Did the people pick Joe Biden to run? Or did the party? Bernie Sanders might have something to say about that. Did the people pick Kamala? Or did the party? So the party that's constantly screaming about democracy and the rules, and we got to have the rules, and James Carville saying we can have a rule where you can only do this every 10 years. They got that rule in California, and the rule is made up of independents that do the districting to make sure that there's equal representation. That came in under then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. And now Newsom is saying, I like that law. It ought to be the national law. But right now, this is an emergency, so we need to put that law aside and make new laws to make California even stronger Democratic stronghold. And by the way, the Terminator has said he'll come out of retirement and fight Newsom over this. I can't wait to watch this unfold. And I'm no Arnold fan. Arnold is your typical middle-of-the-road rhino, screw your freedom. He went all rabid insane over COVID. So basically I put him right up there with the James Carvilles of, we gotta kill democracy to save democracy. But nonetheless, there are certain things that, I do respect about Arnold. The guy came here, had nothing, knew no one, barely spoke our language, and look at what he was able to accomplish. An incredible movie career. He came here doing the whole weightlifting thing. And in between the weightlifting and the movie career, when he began to make money, somebody told him, hey, don't just spend your money, invest it in real estate. He became a millionaire in real estate before he ever went into acting. And he got involved in acting. He was a mega superstar in the 80s and 90s, and he became governor. I mean, again, I don't agree with all of his policies, but you have to step back and take and hat tip. And by the way, he went into hostile territory, The View, and basically said, hey, look, the illegals who come here, you're like a guest in our house. Behave yourself. Take care of the house. Clean up. Straighten up. If I was a visitor in your house, I wouldn't make a mess. I wouldn't leave problems behind for you to deal with. I would take care of it for you. And I mean, the nags on The View were shocked. Sonny Holstein putting her hand on his shoulder, trying to get him to shut up. But he said, I'll fight you on this one, Newsom. Now, Texas isn't violating any laws. Their laws allow them to do this. Texas Democrats, Texas at one time was a Democratic state. Pretty strong Democratic state. It flipped because the Democrats flipped out. And Texans went, we ain't for that. So you're going to see more and more red states begin to rework the gerrymandering. And again, we just learned this from the Democrats. And they're already telling you, look, rules don't mean anything to us. We establish them, and then we break them because we deem it necessary to save democracy. That's what James Carville is proposing, and you need to know that is exactly what the Democrats are going to want to do. They know they can't win on their ideas. You have Nancy Botox Pelosi just yesterday with her false teeth falling out, standing there saying, we're going to make sure you're affirming health care for trans kids. In other words, we're going to cut the testicles off little boys and make them little girls. This is how sick and twisted these people are. And James Carville just said the quiet part out loud, which is why the young Democrats hate Carville. By the way, Carville, look, he and Pelosi, I mean, come on, these are escapees from Jurassic Park. Carville hasn't been relevant since he helped Bill Clinton get elected. And remember, Bill Clinton and nothing but an Epstein boy. And everybody knows what a horn dog he is and the women that he has raped and molested. And Hillary Rodham Clinton and everybody around Bill Clinton helped him get away with it. And yet they talk about women's rights and Me Too, etc., etc., etc. Nobody is a violation of the Constitution or democracy or even just human decency more than the Democratic Party.